innovations from LG, and we've also got Bilal with us, who is the resident expert for LG. How you doing, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Not bad. Kind of excited to check out some of the new tech that's just come out, which is quite exciting. Can you start by explaining to us a little bit about what these two devices are and just a bit about LG?
So this is our 2023 OLED C3, which is Evo technology. And then you also have the USE 6S soundbar, which is also a 2023 product as well. So these will be hitting the shop floor soon. So you'll be able to see it in your stores in a couple of weeks, let's say. But in terms of your question about LG, we are in the industry known as one of the TV giants. So we are one of the largest panel manufacturers in the world. We are the number one OLED brand for the last 10 years as well. And we've actually, not recently, but up to now, we have won 3 Which Home Entertainment Brand of the Year awards, and hopefully number 4 pending as well.
I kind of like that. I used to work for Which, so I know that that's a certification that's worth having. And you're right. Over the last 10 years, if you've been looking at TVs and you've noticed what LG's been doing, they're fantastic. When you go into a venue and view them, they are awesome. But we're going to talk about a few of the key features. And I want to ask you, what are your personal favorite features of this TV?
So number 1 is the processor. So you might be thinking, what's he talking about processor? Processors you normally think about when you're purchasing a laptop or a PC, for instance, or a mobile phone.
Yeah.
But everything electrical, almost everything electrical has a processor. It needs to know what to do with the information and what to do with the technology itself. So in the last couple of years, we have been focusing a bit more on the processor because you got to remember the quality of content is becoming so much better nowadays. Yeah. But we want the LG OLED TV to be able to handle not only just new content, but also customers' old, classic content that they watch as well. So the processor in this is the Alpha 9 Gen 6.
Yep.
So it's a processor that we've been perfecting over the last 10 years. It is made specifically for OLED technology to get the best out of the screen technology. As I said, it uses AI technology as well. So the upscaling is a lot more smarter than it has been in recent years.
So you can literally, if you're watching older stuff, for example, it will then upscale that content to kind of match the 4K and the OLED, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly that. And it also uses the AI technology, not just to, just for the sake of it, but it also learns the type of content you watch as well. So over time, if you watch a lot of sports, it will learn how to improve sports over time. The same with movies. So it takes that into account as well, and not just a set of rules to upscale everything, the same way.
Yeah, because it's all different. And if I'm playing, which I will be doing on this TV in a little bit, playing as many games as I can get out of it, it will kind of learn about the fact that I'm playing games and optimize it for that.
Exactly that, yeah. So whether you play role-playing games, there is another feature for games, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on.
We will.
Which will probably excite you a lot more, yeah.
So if any of this stuff is sort of sounding a little bit strange to any of you guys, I just want to invite you. You can jump onto the Q&A in the actual conversation itself. Jump onto our Instagram at Situ Live, or you can jump on to the link above my head and jump onto LG's website, where you can check out all the specifications, and they've got their own web chat service. So if you've got any questions about this kind of stuff, because it is a bit weird when you're trying to find a new TV, there's a lot of changes that happen. Drop us a question and we'll do our best to answer it for you. But we're going to get into some of the specifics about the TV, because there's been a lot of changes over the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I think some of these are important to kind of explain to the audience. So the first one that I want to know a little bit more about, and just genuinely excites me anyway, is a bit about OLED and what it is.
Yeah, so OLED technology, without realizing it, if you have a premium smartphone, which is something we use pretty much every single day, we're watching content, we're consuming content almost every day, whether it's on the way from home, whether it's in bed. And what we don't realize is our premium phones actually have OLED screens. So you imagine the great amount of content you watch on your phone, but on a bigger screen.
See, I kind of like that, because I have this thing. I'll always watch stuff on the tube when I'm coming home from work.
Yeah,
it looks fantastic on my phone. Like Netflix looks awesome. But when I get home, I don't have anywhere near a new TV at the moment.
Yeah,
I am looking to upgrade, so we'll see how the rest of this goes. But
we'll speak about that later.
Yeah, exactly. You got some deals for me, haven't you?
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, I better do a good job. But it looks so much better on my phone. So when you get in, you really notice that difference between the content. So something I say to people when they come into the store here is, watch stuff on your phone, see the quality difference, and you'll start to see the need why you need to upgrade. But yeah, OLED is absolutely awesome, but something else that's changed over the last 10 years that's also been a big difference, and I think, like you're saying, with the processor, tech is starting to catch up,
Yep.
is 4K. So what is 4K and how does it help improve the viewer experience?
So 4K essentially it's to do with the pixel numbers on the screen. So 4K was obviously the next step from Full HD.
Yeah.
And it was to basically give us more sharpness, more depth in the screen. So over the years, as we spoke about the processor a little bit earlier, not every bit of content that we watch is in 4K. So some stuff is obviously still in Full HD, or the older content is a bit more lower resolution as well. So 4K is important when it comes to new content, whether it's on Netflix, Prime, which are built into the TV as well, and through certain TV providers, let's say. So that's important. However, the processor does come into it, as I spoke to you about earlier on. The dedicated OLED processor, the Alpha 9 Gen 6. But you also have not only just 4K that's important, but the OLED also takes into account the other fundamentals of what makes a TV great. So that includes the viewing angle, deep blacks, and also your most accurate colors also. The main three fundamentals of purchasing a TV. And then obviously you have other stuff that I'm sure we'll talk about as well. 4K gives us, we normally say 4K gives us the resolution and the sharpness. But it's HDR, which is then added onto it, which gives us depth. And the colors as well.
And I think that's HDR is a bit of a difficult thing to explain to people.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
I've kind of settled into this thing where I say to people, if when you're looking at TVs, HDR helps with the color and how the color looks so much. And I find quite often you can see a TV and it can be lower resolution, but if the colors are great and it's got all that great tech that LG's got inside of it, the TV will look so much better, even if it's playing in 1080p. So it's a massively important part of the viewing experience. Which, kind of glad you're a big fan of this, and I can tell that you enjoy consuming your content.
Yeah, I watch a lot of content, especially through Netflix, whether it's old or new content. But one thing that will be helpful for old content is one of the features in the actual processor specifically is the noise reduction as well. So 4K is 4 times information than HD. That's a lot of pixels to fill when you're upscaling. So what the Alpha 9 Gen 6 processor does, it also reduces the noise that's added on after the TV's done the upscaling as well. You also have something which is called object enhancement as well. So this is where it will actually scan the screen and it will pick up the static image, which is the background, and then the subject which is moving will be the foreground. So what it will do, it will adjust the contrast between the background and the foreground to give it a lot more depth as well, almost giving you that sort of 3D effect without the TV being 3D. So for all them 3D lovers, the object enhancement, through the Alpha 9 Gen 6 processor really, makes the picture pop. So which is really, really good as well.
This is awesome stuff to learn, because all these little things, and especially when you talk about watching older stuff, you wouldn't think about this. You just buy a 4K TV, and if it's not got that kind of tech in it, you'll be watching some old thing, and you'll just be like, what? The Office, for example, the original few seasons of The Office.
US or UK?
Right, okay, so I'm gonna give it to you this way. The UK one, brilliant, changed the game for mockumentaries, brought it in. But the American one, it's better.
I'm going to have to think about the
deal's going to be taken away now. Is that the way it's going to go?
I'm joking, yeah.
All right, well then, how about I start a subject of something that I think you'll enjoy?
Okay, go ahead.
As a gamer,
Yep.
For me, when I'm looking for a new TV, there is one really important feature that stands out above the rest.
Okay.
And that's refresh rate.
Okay.
What do you think? What is refresh rate? Explain it to our viewers here.
So refresh rate is how many times the picture actually refreshes on the screen. So generally, when we're viewing normal content, such as movies and stuff like that, it's usually filmed in 25 frames per second.
Yeah.
But for me, or probably yourself, when we're playing something a bit more action-paced, like a first-person shooter, having a higher frame rate is really, really important, because you want to be able to see, people come around the corner a lot more quicker. But it's not just shooting games. When you're playing racing games as well, it just gives you that smoothness in the image, when scenes are changing or when things are moving across the screen as well. So that's where it really comes important. And the good thing with the LG OLEDs is this particular model as well. It is 120 frames. It does support 120 frames per second as well.
Perfect.
Which goes really hand in hand with the new games consoles that are out as well, which are 4K and 120 frames per second as well. So it really does help, in that sense. If you want to make sure that your game or your games console is being played in 4K, so if you just press the settings button for me, just on the other side, the cogwheel.
That one?
Nope,
I'll give it to you. You're the expert here. This is, I don't know why I'm holding the remote.
So it should come up here. There, it's not going to let us go on it. But you see the game optimizer here. If you press onto that, it basically takes you into its own complete settings for gaming specifically. So you'll be able to see the frame rates. You'll be able to see the HDR handling. You'll be able to pick the brand of variable refresh rate that you want as well. So whether you're connecting it to a PC or a games console, it basically puts all your game settings in one place. So you don't have to look around or anything like that. One other thing as well, for me, that's really important is the low latency mode as well. Yes. So once the TV actually picks up that you're connected to a games console, it's smart enough to automatically switch to game mode. Yeah. And what this does, it gets rid of all the post-processing settings that it usually has when you're watching normal content. Yeah. And it will focus on making that connection between the console and the TV a lot more quicker. So that means as soon as you turn left, straight on it. Exactly that, yeah. So it brings it below around about 5 milliseconds roughly, depending on what size you're looking for. Well, which in a TV technology is almost unheard of. Exactly. You know, hardcore gamers will you to go for a monitor, 1 millisecond monitor, etc. But now with LG OLED technology, you're able to do that as well.
I think it's a massive upgrade for all the gamers out there. Also, if you enjoy watching films, there's so much content over the last few years that's been made for 120 FPS because it is so much more exciting and smoother to watch. If you guys haven't had an experience this, I'm going to call back to your phone comment. Most likely, you've got a phone in your pocket that can do 120 FPS. And when you're watching something like that, your eyes just relax. But if you're unsure whether you really want to make the jump for it, download a game, download Call of Duty Mobile, for example, and just play it in 120 FPS. And the difference that it makes to how smooth it feels, how nice it is to play. It's the difference between a hot knife through butter or a cold knife through cold butter.
Does that make sense?
Does that make sense, right? Yeah, it's a good metaphor. We're gonna keep that one. So then one more thing that I want to talk about the TV that I really love is their whole web OS system, because that's how we interact, that's how we use it. Can you explain a little bit about web OS and some of the kind of new features that have got coming up?
Yeah, so we've had this screen up for pretty much the whole live stream so far. So this is WebOS 23. This is our WebOS platform for 2023. Now, when it comes to the OS system and stuff like that, you got to think like the way we watch TV has changed drastically. Yeah, you don't have to watch things, at 8 p.m. anymore, like you said, for instance. Like our viewing habits have changed. We don't have to watch things when we have to. We can watch it when we want to. So WebOS is basically helping the customers do that. So you've got the Magic Remote, which is my favorite feature. Yep. So if you wave it around, you get the cursor that comes up. It helps you navigate around the actual OS a lot more easier. There is a microphone as well, so you can speak into it. That also supports Google Assistant and Alexa as well. Yeah. So we don't limit you to what home system you want to use. And then also you've got some shortcut buttons as well, which have your popular streaming platforms as well. But as you can see, I'm just moving around here, and it's basically scrolls really easy, and all I have to do is press on the app, and it'll just open up, and I can carry on watching. So I can finish watching a program on Netflix. Yeah. And then straight away go into Prime and watch something else, or go into BBC iPlayer and catch up on something else.
And it's just a nice way of, rather than like pressing buttons and trying to go through an awful menu that's hard to get around. Yeah. Like I would almost say that it is literally my favorite OS for a TV because of the Magic Remote and how easy it is to get around. But for example, if you were buying a TV for somebody who's a little bit older, this is such an easy user interface that anybody's going to be able to jump on it. Whereas if you give somebody, maybe a plug-in TV system, they might get confused. How do we download apps? How do we do all this kind of stuff? This just makes it nice and simple, I think, for the user.
Exactly that, yeah. So Netflix is probably the app I'll probably use most, if I'm honest. Yeah. But basically what this is also smart enough to do is the apps you use most, it will actually start to move that closer to the front.
So automatically, so you don't even have to think about it.
So if I don't use any of these and I'm using Netflix and BBC iPlayer the most, the TV will learn and it will start to move them across, to the top. So I can easily get to it. So as soon as I press the home button,
Yeah.
it's already there. I mean, loads of other easy ways we've made available for you to access Netflix, but it doesn't have to be just with their apps. It can be with any other apps that you use. For instance, Twitch. That a lot of people don't know about. We have on our TV, so we've got the Twitch app. The TikTok app is up on there as well.
Yeah.
You can easily, you never run out of things to watch on an LG OLED TV.
If you got Twitch and YouTube and you're running out of things to watch, then then it's time to put the remote down.
Go outside.
Nah, I don't want to see the grass. I don't know what that is. So honestly, it's an awesome system to jump on and use. Great TV. I cannot wait to plug in one of our laptops and probably wreck you on a game of COD in a bit.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, what are the stakes?
The stakes. Yeah. I get to keep the TV after this if I win you in a 1v1.
Good thing my manager's here.
Well, just to have your back.
Yeah.
So it's an awesome piece of tech, but we kind of have this viewpoint. Me, content team who are all behind the camera there. How we doing, guys? We have this viewpoint about watching stuff that, yes, you do watch it, and having 4K and all those kind of things make a massive difference. But we kind of say that you see with your ears, the sound quality, the way the sound comes across, that makes a massive difference. Would you kind of agree?
So for me personally, I always, if I'm speaking to a customer, even if I'm speaking to friends or family, I tell them that the visual is only 50% of the experience.
Yeah.
The other 50% for a truly immersive experience is sound. I don't go to the cinema just to watch it.
No.
But watch with my eyes. It's the thunderous, action scenes and everything like that, which get me riled and pumped, and that's exactly what you need. So yes, the OLED C3, OLED Evo technology, great black levels, great HDR and everything like that. But adding Dolby Atmos to that, and you're probably not going to leave the house.
No.
If I'm honest.
And I'd be quite happy to live that life, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things. If you guys don't know what Dolby Atmos is, basically the people that create the sound that you listen to, they will use Dolby Atmos to literally pinpoint like a gunshot just behind your left ear, or the boom of a car screeching up right in front of you. And it's with Dolby Atmos or DTSX that they do that. So if you've got a speaker that doesn't have those settings built into it, you'll never get to actually hear the sound, how the sound engineer intended it. And that's not just for films. That's also for music. They've got another Dolby system for music as well, which is once again making sure that the artist actually is able to communicate what they want to you fantastically.
Exactly that, yeah.
This is all available in their soundbar. Now, it's got a couple of other things that I think are really kind of cool with it. They've done away with the subwoofer this year.
That's correct, yeah. So this is one of the models where it's got 4 passive radios built inside, so there's no subwoofer that comes with it. So it's all built in. So as you can see, it's sitting nicely in front of the TV, doesn't take anything away from the screen. Just, makes it a lot more nicer, a lot more sleeker. It means you don't have to have an extra unit next to them. So perfect for someone who wants something a bit more smaller. It's probably a smaller apartment, and still wants to have great quality sound as well. There are other features on there such as DTSX and Dolby Atmos that you've mentioned already, but it's also compatible with most systems as well. So if you're using an Android phone, if you're using an Apple phone, it does support AirPlay and Apple as well. So you can quickly come in, just chuck your music onto it. I know we talk a lot about watching movies and things like that with soundbars, but it does.
What's so lovely about soundbars for this is you can set up your room, and I don't know if you've got set up like this, but like I've got a nice pair of speakers to listen to music, and then I've got one connected to my TV for something slightly different. I've got one connected to my PC, and it's getting a little bit ridiculous with all the wires and everything.
Yeah.
Whereas this genuinely will just do everything that you want it to do. You'll get that fantastic audio quality. You can use the remote. You can use your phone to be able to control all the lighting in your room when you're getting set up for a nice little gaming session. And it just makes things nice and easy. One other thing that I'm going to talk about with this that I think is very good is that you get a VRR pass-through. So if you've got this speaker set up and you want to connect it to a TV, like we're talking about with the gaming and having that high refresh rate, the HDMIs need to go through the soundbar into the TV, but that's all backed up with this system, so it's all just going to work straight away.
Yep. So it's got pass-through built in. So if you are running out of HDMI ports, or if you have multiple games consoles, some of us are lucky enough to have.
Well, you don't.
I don't know. No, you probably do.
I've got too much.
Yeah, so you can basically, if you are running out of HDMI ports in that case, or you have a DVD player or whatever connected to it, you can connect it straight. You can connect the games console directly into the soundbar, and then have the HDMI from the soundbar pass through to the TV, and it still supports VRR and auto low latency mode and everything like that as well. So you're not limited down.
Which just makes it so much more usable for whatever you want to use it for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think, well, first of all, thank you so much for coming along today. I've genuinely learned a lot, and it is going to go into my mind for my next purchase for a TV, which needs to happen as soon as possible, to be honest, in my life. Thank you so much for joining us today at Situ Live. I hope we've given you some awesome information to go away and think about. If you do want to check out the products, there'll be a link above my head, which you can click on and jump on and have a look. Or if you're available, come on down to Situ Live Westfield. We'll help you out and help you make the right decision for your next purchase. But until next time, guys, thank you very much. Thank you, Bilal.
Thank you for having me.
And enjoy your day. Take care.